Right now, you are sitting inside a building, traveling on a road, or staring at a device made almost entirely out of a resource you never think about. It is not crude oil. It is not lithium. And it is not copper. It is sand. But while the world spent decades worrying about peak oil and freshwater shortages, an armed global syndicate quieted down the headlines and began stealing riverbeds, beaches, and sea floors right out from under us. In 2015, an environmental activist in Tamil Nadu, India, received a series of quiet warnings to stop investigating local riverbeds. Days later, he was run down in broad daylight by an unmarked heavy vehicle. He was just one casualty in a shadowy global war over a commodity most people consider worthless. The fundamental problem starts with a biological and physical illusion. When we imagine sand, we think of the vast, endless dunes of the Sahara Desert. But desert sand is completely useless for modern engineering. Centuries of wind erosion polish those desert grains into smooth, round microspheres that cannot lock together to form concrete. The only sand humanity can actually use is angular sand. The sharp, rough grains carved over thousands of years by the violent, crushing forces of rivers, lakes, and ocean tides. Every single year, humanity consumes over 50 billion metric tons of this river and marine aggregate. That is enough sand to build a solid concrete wall 27 meters high and 27 meters wide around the entire equator of the Earth. It is double the amount of natural sediment transported by every river on the planet combined. Concrete alone is 80% sand. A single kilometer of highway requires 30,000 tons of it. A single nuclear power plant demands nearly 120,000 tons. The modern world's appetite is so insatiable that Dubai, a metropolis built directly on the edge of a massive desert, was forced to import thousands of tons of river sand from Australia just to construct the Burj Khalifa and its artificial coastal islands. As legal marine and river reserves plummeted, prices skyrocketed, creating a massive vacuum filled by organized crime rings known as sand mafias. Across Southeast Asia, India, Latin America, and parts of Africa, these syndicates operate illegal dredging networks, using unpaid laborers who dive into murky rivers with hand pails, operating alongside heavy machinery that rips away riverbanks. In Indonesia alone, aggressive illegal sand extraction for foreign land reclamation projects caused over 24 entire islands to physically disappear from national maps since 2005. Dredging destroys marine ecosystems, collapses river basins, weakens bridge foundations, and leaves vulnerable coastal communities exposed to catastrophic ocean surges. Yet it is easy to view the sand mafia as a localized problem of corruption in distant developing nations. That assumption is the real trap. The black market for sand is not a failure of law enforcement on remote riverbanks. It is the direct, mathematical consequence of how global civilization is designed. Sand is not merely the concrete beneath our feet. It is the purified silica melted to make the glass windows of our homes. The fiber optic cables transporting internet data across oceans. And the silicon microchips powering every laptop and smartphone on the planet. The sand mafia exists because modern life demands a material that takes nature hundreds of thousands of years to forge, but which we consume in fractions of a second. The violent disputes on a distant river shore are connected by a direct supply chain to the urban skyline outside your window. Humanity has spent the last century defining power and prosperity by how high we can build into the sky. We measure our achievements in concrete spires, glass towers, and expanding coastlines. But in our rush to construct the future, we forgot to examine the ground beneath us. Sand reminds us that even the most impressive empire is only as durable as the finite grains that support its weight. If we continue to harvest the earth faster than geology can rebuild it, we may soon discover that modern civilization was built entirely on shifting sand.